Hi, this is Dr. Radhika Patnala from Sci-Illustrate. This December, we celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the Women in Science series at Sci-Illustrate Stories. Join me as I sit in conversation with Dr. Roopali Chaudhary, one of the content editors of the series, to learn more about her thoughts and experiences with the series this year. Which was your most favorite Women in Science profile so far?
For me, the series where I wrote about Birute Galdikas as well as Jane
Dan.
Goodall, and yeah, the leaky angels, really, the three of them. That was probably the most heartwarming, and it was these three women were so groundbreaking in everything that they did in terms of like their backgrounds as well as going and living and really changing the course of anthropology overall. I found um, that was probably my favorite series that I did. I read and watched practically everything that I could find on these three women when I was writing their articles.
Mhm.
That has to be my favorite series or favorite three women that I've written about.
So we have three artists with extremely different styles. Which art style do you relate to the most?
I think it's really hard to pick from the three styles because like Milo's art is something that is very colorful,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that catches your eye very quickly. But at the same time, I think Arya's art is unique, and he really encapsulates experience in the background that he creates in his art. So I think that's fantastic. And then with Ellie, her art is it's just clean lights, it's minimalistic, and at the same time it's so informative. So it's really hard to pick one from those three.
Yeah.
I think I can relate to all three
Mm-hmm.
for different reasons. And I like I would actually buy their art and put it up as an art piece on my wall. Like the postcards, I want to create an art piece
Mm-hmm.
with all the three different artists and use that as like a conversation piece in my house because they're fantastic in their own ways.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that each artist brings out their own personality in
Hmm.
the art. Like, so you really see like the person in the artwork, and that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's it's such if you were to analyze the art with each of them too, you can really see how different their art styles are in terms of like the mediums that they're using too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's coming out as digital art, but the practice that it takes to get to that point is so
Yeah.
different for all three of them, and that really speaks as well in their art. It reflects
Mm-hmm.
that as well, and I think that's another beauty about this project is it's so much background experience that comes out
Mm-hmm.
in individual pieces.
For sure, and that just doesn't limit to artwork, but it also limits to the write-ups and the fleshed out stories that we create with every single profile. Which is your favorite artwork from the series so far?
I think I am very biased,
Mm-hmm.
and so I really loved the story of Anandi Joshi.
Yeah, yeah.
I love her story, and her artwork was when I saw that artwork and the way the write up was done by Sumbul, it was just heartwarming for me
Mhm.
because that her story is something um, that I got exposed to a few years ago, and I've been reading up everything that I can find about it. And I think I just like personally, I mean, this is a lot of bias coming out, but I personally loved her story arc and this woman who went through kind of being forced into being educated, but then also wanted to because of life circumstances. And it was unfortunate that she passed away at such a young age. But that artwork, the lighting in that artwork, the way it was done with that write up was just so warm overall. So that is my favorite artwork. Um, but again, a very loaded question.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Can you tell us a bit more about your process in how you choose the women in science that you have uh, thought about featuring, and how you start from, say, when you know that you want to do a story about a person to bringing out the final blog post?
When it comes to choosing the women, I don't necessarily have a specific process. I do look up different women scientists' names in different fields. And then I picked ones that some of the ones are women that I've heard of during my own education. And so I wanted to learn more about them. So I shortlisted them. And some of them is just because I know nothing about their lives and they got included. How I start is I start where everyone starts, is I Google their name and I read Wikipedia. And then I go through the references that are in Wikipedia and go and look at all of those references. I will read everything that is present there. I will then go on YouTube and I will YouTube the name and see what comes up, and I will watch everything that is present on YouTube, be it just a repetition of what I've already read. But then I will also start to go through journal articles that the person has written, and I will read those journal articles, at least the abstracts, because I don't always understand some of the different fields that we've featured. I'll read at least the abstract to get a sense of what the writing style was, especially where they are the first author, or what the importance of their work has been and how it's actually changed the course of science. And based off all that, I make notes for myself on what are these different aspects from personal life, what can I find, what is it in professional life, what have I found in terms of awards that they have received, what are my own opinions that I have made about this person and the environment that they may have had to deal with. And so I try to keep my opinion kind of on the end part of it because I want it to be factual. And then I try to write it, the end product, I will try to write it trying to put myself in that time frame. So, for example, when I was writing about Diane Fossey, and the conversation was about gorillas, and I was trying to think, like, what did we know about gorillas back then? And it was King Kong. That was the only thing. So it's like, let's put myself back in that mindset. And I would actually research, what did we know about the movie King Kong? What was its reception at that period of time? What did people think? What was the technology that went into it? And using all of that is how I actually create the story that needs to be written, to get the reader into that mindset, into that time frame, and to understand what this person may have been dealing with externally, and then also scientifically and professionally. And that's how I write my stories.
It is also, on some level, our responsibility as scientists to do justice to the science. And then but in this case, we take it one step forward and try to get the story to be about the person that we're writing it about. So it's not just their science, but it's also more about the person and their struggles, being a scientist, being a woman, or their accomplishments.
I will say, like, you have to, when I write about my opinions as well, I try to keep in check any biases I might have had. Because we all have biases. Try to keep that in check as well, that I'm not enforcing my bias onto the reader, but I still do want to create the environment that a person would have been in. So something like, I myself may be biased about how a certain time frame was treating women. or how women were treated in a certain period of time, though the reality might be that this person may not have experienced it. So I need to keep that in check. So that comes in the editing process, is when I read
Right.
it
Yeah.
and see what is coming out here that seems like it's too much opinion versus the actual fact.
Mhm.
And you have to find a
Balance between.
balance between those.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What motivates you to be a part of this series?
I find reading and learning about these women has actually given me a lot more confidence and has provided me a sense of belonging in the scientific world. And that I wouldn't exchange for anything, which is why, like, anytime a story uh, that I need to research and write for this series, and maybe not even one that I've written, but I go in and I read all of the other ones, learn about all these various women through the course of history and present who are accomplished in the STEM fields that I never heard of before. I didn't know. I didn't know that. I mean, me as an Indian woman could be a scientist was something that was so strange and so, like, it was out of the ordinary. But now when I go back and I read those stories and I'm seeing, like, throughout the course of even Indian history, we've had them, which makes me feel like, okay, I'm not this, like, odd one out kind of. There's a greater sense of belonging in it, and that keeps me motivated in writing more stories. Because if I feel this way, then there's got to be other women that relate and feel